April 28, 1945. 50 feet beneath the rubble of Berlin, a 56-year-old man with trembling hands reads a BBC broadcast. His most loyal lieutenant has betrayed him. His closest ally hangs upside down in a Milan square. And 2.5 million Soviet soldiers are less than 500 meters from his door. In 48 hours, Adolf Hitler will be dead. But what happens in those final 2 days will haunt history forever. This is not a story about military defeat. It's a story about the psychological collapse of the most destructive regime in modern history. About a dictator who, even as his empire crumbles, orchestrates a final act of horror that claims not just his own life, but the lives of innocent children. How does a man who commanded millions spend his final hours? Who stays with him until the bitter end? Who betrays him when it matters most? And what does he do when there's nowhere left to run? We know the answers because of the people who survived. Secretaries, valets, adjutants. After the war, Allied intelligence officers interrogated them extensively. British historian Hugh Trevor Roper compiled their testimonies. A German court interviewed 42 witnesses over 4 years before issuing Hitler's death certificate in 1956. To understand those final 48 hours, we need to go back 3 months. January 16th, 1945. Adolf Hitler descends the stairs into the Führerbunker for what will be the final time. Located beneath the Reich Chancellery Garden in central Berlin, this underground fortress sits roughly 8.5 meters below street level. 18 rooms spread across 2 floors, concrete walls nearly 4 meters thick, its own water supply, ventilation system, and diesel generator. A self-contained world designed to survive anything. At 55, Hitler is a shadow of the man who once mesmerized millions. His left hand trembles uncontrollably, a symptom of what historians believe was Parkinson's disease. His face is pale and bloated, his posture stooped. His personal physician, Dr. Theodor Morell, has been administering a cocktail of over 80 different medications, including methamphetamines, opiates, and cocaine-laced eye drops. But Hitler isn't just physically broken. Mentally, he exists in an alternate reality. He still believes victory is possible. April 12th, 1945. News arrives that President Franklin D. Roosevelt has died. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, practically sprints into the bunker. He compares it to the miracle of the House of Brandenburg, when the sudden death of Empress Elizabeth of Russia saved Frederick the Great from certain defeat in 1762. Hitler briefly shares his optimism. Perhaps history will repeat itself. Perhaps the alliance between the Americans, British, and Soviets will collapse now that Roosevelt is gone. Perhaps Germany can still be saved. It's delusion. Pure, desperate delusion. 4 days later, on April 16th, the Red Army launches its final offensive. Marshal Georgy Zhukov attacks from the east. Marshal Ivan Konev from the south. They command 2.5 million soldiers, 6,250 tanks, 7,500 aircraft, and 41,600 artillery pieces. The largest concentration of firepower in human history converges on Berlin. The Battle of the Silo Heights becomes a slaughterhouse. The Soviets lose 30,000 men in just 4 days. But they break through. The German defenders, outnumbered and outgunned, simply cannot hold. On April 20th, Hitler's 56th birthday, Soviet artillery begins shelling central Berlin. This is the last time Hitler is seen in public. He emerges briefly from the bunker to award Iron Crosses to teenage soldiers, some as young as 14, who have been defending the city. Then he descends back into the bunker. He will never see daylight again. 2 days later, on April 22nd, Hitler receives a devastating news during his afternoon military conference. SS General Felix Steiner was supposed to attack from north of Berlin and relieve the city. The attack never happened. Steiner didn't have the troops. He didn't even try. Hitler explodes into what witnesses describe as a 3-hour tirade. He screams about universal treason, corruption, lies, and failures. For the first time, he admits publicly what everyone around him already knows. The war is lost. Germany is finished. Everyone should leave Berlin while they still can, but not everyone leaves. Eva Braun, Hitler's companion of 13 years, refuses to go. She tells him she will die by his side. Traudl Junge, Hitler's 25-year-old secretary, also stays. So does Joseph Goebbels, his wife Magda, and their 6 children. Martin Bormann, Hitler's private secretary. Various generals, adjutants, valets, and staff. A shrinking circle of true believers, trapped in a concrete tomb. April 23rd. The first betrayal. Hermann Göring, commander of the Luftwaffe and Hitler's designated successor since 1941, sends a telegram from Bavaria. He's heard that Hitler is isolated in Berlin, possibly incapacitated. Göring proposes taking over leadership of the Reich. He gives Hitler until 10 p.m. to respond. If he hears nothing, he'll assume Hitler agrees. The telegram is intercepted by Martin Bormann, who despises Göring. Bormann presents it to Hitler in the worst possible light: an attempted coup, high treason. Hitler erupts. He strips Göring of all titles, all commands, all honors. He orders his immediate arrest. The man he once called the loyal Hermann, the man who stood beside him since the earliest days of the Nazi movement, is now a traitor. But that betrayal is nothing compared to what comes 5 days later. April 28, 1945, 10 p.m. This is where our 48 hours truly begin. Hitler receives a BBC broadcast via Reuters news service. His most trusted lieutenant, Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, the man he called the loyal Heinrich, has been secretly negotiating surrender with the Western Allies, behind Hitler's back, without authorization. Himmler, the head of the SS, the architect of the concentration camps, the man responsible for implementing the Holocaust, negotiating Germany's surrender as if Hitler were already dead. The rage that follows is unlike anything the bunker staff has witnessed. Hitler screams that this is the worst treachery he has ever known, the worst betrayal in German history. But Hitler can't reach Himmler directly, so he turns to the next best target, Hermann Fegelein, Himmler's SS liaison officer in the bunker. There's a problem, though. Fegelein has fled. Even worse, Fegelein is married to Eva Braun's sister Gretel. He's family. SS troops find Fegelein hiding in a Berlin apartment, wearing civilian clothes, carrying forged documents and foreign currency. He's dragged back to the chancellery. After a brief, irregular court-martial, he's taken to the garden and shot. Eva Braun, according to witnesses, does not fight hard for her brother-in-law's life. The regime means more to her than blood. That same night, news arrives from Italy that seals Hitler's fate. April 29th, 1945. Early morning. The bunker inhabitants learn that Benito Mussolini, Hitler's closest ally, and the man who inspired the Nazi movement, has been captured by Italian partisans near Lake Como while trying to escape to Switzerland. He and his mistress, Clara Petacci, were shot. Their bodies were transported to Milan, hung upside down from a metal girder at a gas station, beaten, kicked, and spat upon by crowds. Hitler sees photographs or hears detailed descriptions. The impact is immediate and visceral. This will not happen to him. This will never happen to him. He will not become a spectacle for his enemies. Shortly before midnight on April 28th, Hitler summons a Berlin city official named Walter Wagner to perform a civil ceremony. In a small map room within the bunker, with Goebbels and Bormann as witnesses, 56-year-old Adolf Hitler marries 33-year-old Eva Braun. She has waited 13 years for this moment. She will be his wife for less than 40 hours. The wedding party is subdued. Champagne is served. Hitler, normally a strict teetotaler, takes a small sip. The conversation turns nostalgic. Better days, happier times. Old friends now dead or gone. Then Hitler excuses himself. He has work to do. Between midnight and 4 a.m., Hitler summons Traudl Junge to his study. For the next several hours, he dictates two documents, his personal will and his political testament. In his political testament, he expels both Göring and Himmler from the Nazi Party for treason. He appoints Admiral Karl Dönitz as President of the Reich and Goebbels as Chancellor. And he offers his final justification for everything he has done. His words are chilling. Even facing death, he shows no remorse. He blames the Jews for starting the war. He exhorts the German people to continue resisting. He takes no responsibility for the millions who died because of him. Not a word about the Holocaust. Not a word about the concentration camps. Not a word about the devastation his regime unleashed upon the world. Traudl Junge later recalled her disappointment. She had hoped that in his final hours, Hitler might show some self-awareness, some acknowledgement of what had gone wrong. Instead, she typed the same hateful propaganda she had heard 1,000 times before. 3 copies of the documents are made. 3 couriers slip out of the bunker to carry them to safety. They are the last official documents of the Third Reich. April 30th, 1945. By morning, Soviet forces have reached the Potsdamer Platz, less than 500 meters from the bunker entrance. The sound of artillery is constant. Shells land in the Chancellery Garden every few minutes. General Helmuth Weidling, commander of Berlin's defenses, reports that ammunition will run out within hours. The city cannot hold another day. Around mid-morning, Hitler summons Dr. Werner Hasse. He needs to know if the cyanide capsules given to him by Himmler actually work. Given Himmler's betrayal, Hitler no longer trusts anything associated with the man. There's one way to find out. Hitler orders the capsule tested on Blondie, his beloved German shepherd. Hitler distributes cyanide capsules to his secretaries as parting gifts. He tells Traudl Junge he's sorry he has no better present to give her. Around 1 p.m., Hitler hosts a final lunch with his secretaries and his cook, Constanze Manziarli. The conversation is bizarrely mundane. Dog breeding, lipstick, French fashion. The kind of small talk you might hear at any dinner party. No one mentions what is about to happen. Around 2 p.m., Hitler and Eva emerge from their private quarters. The remaining staff have been assembled in the corridor. One by one, Hitler shakes their hands in silence. He does not speak. He simply looks through them, as if they are already ghosts. Eva embraces Traudl Junge. She presses a silver fox fur coat into her hands. Her final words, "Give my love to Bavaria." Then Hitler and Eva return to their private sitting room. The heavy steel door closes behind them. At approximately 2:30 p.m., those waiting in the corridor hear a single gunshot. After several minutes, Hitler's valet Heinz Linge opens the door. Martin Bormann follows. Hitler's adjutant Otto Günsche enters behind them. Hitler is slumped on a blood-soaked sofa. His Walter PPK 7.65mm pistol lies at his feet. A bullet wound marks his right temple. Eva Braun sits beside him, her lips puckered. The room smells of bitter almonds. Cyanide. As instructed, the bodies are wrapped in blankets and carried through the bunker's emergency exit into the Chancellery Garden. Under constant Soviet shelling, they are placed in a shallow depression, doused with gasoline, and set alight. Goebbels, Bormann, and the remaining staff gather at a safe distance. They raise their arms in the Nazi salute one final time. Then they retreat back inside. But Hitler's death was not the end of the horror in the bunker. Joseph Goebbels had served as Hitler's propaganda minister for 12 years. He created the myth of the Führer. More than anyone else, he sold the German people a monstrous lie. He could not imagine life after Hitler. Neither could his wife, Magda. On the evening of May 1st, 1945, the two of them took the lives of their 6 children. Then they ended their own. On May 2nd, Berlin surrendered. On May 8th, Germany signed unconditional surrender. The war in Europe was over. The Third Reich, which Hitler promised would last 1,000 years, survived exactly 12 years, 4 months, and 8 days. The war he started killed between 70 and 85 million people. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Families were destroyed across continents. Today, the site of the Führerbunker is an unmarked parking lot. No shrine, no memorial. The bunker was destroyed by authorities who feared it would become a place of pilgrimage. In his final hours, Hitler showed no moment of insight, no remorse, no acknowledgement of the suffering he caused. He blamed everyone else. The bunker is gone, but the warning it represents must never be buried.